And our first piece of business has nothing to do with zoning, but it has to do with honoring our dear colleagues. And we have present with us tonight two men who've served on this board for many, many years. I keep seeing their name on old decisions that I have in applications, and I realize just how long they've served. Is it true that George Washington appeared before you? I'm not sure. But actually, there are three men we're going to honor tonight, but Jim Dolan can't make it, so we're going to deal with his physical evidence of our gratitude at a later date. But Cora and Charlie, please come up, and I have little mementos for you. Can't see how pretty they are because they're wrapped, unless you want to unwrap them like kids under the Christmas tree. That's for you, Cora. These are gifts from the present board in honor of your service and friendship. We wish you the best. A real pleasure. There are plaques, and they're even engraved, so you can't turn them back in. They have your names on them. They're very nice. Yeah. And we want to thank you for your service. A lot of people have no idea how much time goes into doing this job the right way, and these men have been doing it for a long time. And they showed me the ropes when I first came on the board. Thank you very much. Now you're free to go and go home and watch TV if you'd like. Okay, you sneak out at an appropriate moment. Okay. Now, there are two cases that are pending that we're going to hear in future months, so we're not going to deal with them today. The only case that's going to be heard today is appeal number 2909, 799 Godfrey Road. This was continued from December 19th, 2013. The applicant Overbrook Golf Club is the owner of property located at 799 Godfrey Road and is zoned AC, seeking a variance from section 280, 112D and E to remove vegetation and regrade man-made steep slopes and construct a golf cart storage building and access drives. And for those at home and those in the audience that aren't already involved in the case, these sections involve the steep slope ordinance, which restricts certain activities on slopes that are 20% and greater. And they're seeking relief from this. Mr. Fromholt's not here.
Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, I need to recuse myself as I'm a member of of Overbrook Golf Club.
Okay. So Mr. Riley will participate in your absence. And thank you for showing up. And you can stay if you'd like or pursue other things.
I will stay.
Okay. Is someone here for the applicant?
Good evening, Jamie Junn here on behalf of Overbrook Golf Club. Since we were last before the board and we covered this a little bit at the last meeting, we have revised our plan to add additional information requested by this board. We were requested to add slopes of 14 to 20% in the vicinity of the project area. Also, there was another change made as a result of further discussions with Mr. Kachansky with respect to the method of calculating the slope of area of disturbance. And based on that recalculation, there has been a change in the area of disturbance from 560 square feet to 1,425 square feet. But again, we stress we haven't made any changes to the proposed building or the access drive or the grading. It's just the method of calculation that was changed. And
Are you now amending your application at the hearing to change the figure of 560 that's stated in the application to a new figure?
correct. We submitted a letter to Mr. Krasansky amending our application, and that was what was advertised, which is why we had the delay, because we wanted to make sure that it was properly advertised.
Okay, so it was advertised with a figure, and it was the new figure?
Yes, it was advertised with the 1,425 square feet.
Okay, good.
And since we were last here, we have also proceeded with our land development approval. So we reappeared before the Planning Commission. They saw the revised plan with the recalculated square footage, and they recommended approval.
there's nothing, you haven't changed the area depicted on the plan, just the
We have not, it's
calculation.
just the calculation. The property is approximately 130 acres, and its main entrance is off of Godfrey Road. It's currently improved with a clubhouse, a maintenance building, swimming facilities, driveways, and parking areas. The club is proposing to construct a new cart storage barn, and the improvements will be in the area of a paved area where they currently store their carts. Most of the steep slopes in the location of the proposed building were disturbed or created in 2004 pursuant to a grading permit, which allowed them to put in the paved area for storage of those carts. And the zoning officer has determined that we only need relief for the areas that are beyond the 2004 graded area. We have a report by Earth Engineering Incorporated, which indicates, however, that those slopes that are outside of the 2004 graded area are also man-made as a result of other prior improvements to the property. But to the extent required, we're seeking a variance from code sections 280-112D and E to disturb approximately the 1,425 square feet of steep slopes, mainly for grading, but also for small portions of the storage barn building. And we are also asking that the board grant any approvals until, an extension of any approvals until the end of 2014. Typically, board approvals will require, if you don't get a building permit within 6 months of any approval. I think due to the club schedule, they're anticipating that they will be seeking a permit towards the end of 2014, which is why we're asking for an extension.
John, given the statutory situation, that's not necessary, is it?
No. Now, I think Act 45, which extends all approvals automatically through July 1, 2016, it is now, covers you. I believe a legend is still put on sort of out of, rote practice, but the statute, an approval is alive at any time from and after January 1, 2009, even if it expired the next day. It's been resurrected by Act 46, and it's good initially through July 2013, and is amended through July 2016.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
That ought to give you plenty of time.
Okay, great. I have two witnesses tonight. One is a club member, the other is our engineer. But before we get to the witnesses, I wanted to hand out exhibit packages. It might be a little bit easier for you to have the smaller plans. And then I'll just quickly go through what's included in the package.
If I said Act 45, I meant Act 46.
Are these plans the same ones that were distributed to us earlier? Not at the earlier hearing, but we had something distributed by the township that was filed.
These plans should be.
So we had a set, I just didn't know if they're
The
the
last
same.
revision date is January 21st, 2014. So we did submit new plans with our amended application, and that's probably the set that you have, which is the most recent?
Yeah, 1/21/14 is the last revision date on the
Yes,
first one.
correct, correct.
Okay.
There should be-
Having reviewed them, I wanted to make sure that I don't have to review them again. That's,
Okay. A1 is just an overall site plan. It shows you the improvements that are on the property, and it calls out the area of work that's involved. A2 shows the limit of disturbance per the 2004 grading permit. It's the dashed purple line. And within that area is the current paved area where the carts are stored. Exhibit A3 shows you the proposed building, and the areas that are hatched in red, those are the areas for which we need to seek relief. Those are the areas that are outside of the 2004 graded area. But again, according to the consultant's report that we have, those areas were also previously made as a result of other improvements on the site. A4 is photos of the area in question. A4A is a view of the clubhouse facade. A4B is a view looking north at the golf cart parking area. You can see the carts, how they are stored there currently. C is a view looking northeast at the golf cart parking area, and D is a view looking southwest at the golf cart parking area. And again, you can see the rows of carts that are currently stored. A5 is a perspective. It shows you the existing clubhouse and then also what the proposed building will look like. There's also on the right-hand side a floor plan that shows you how it will be laid out and utilized, the proposed storage cart barn. A6 is the Earth Engineering Incorporated report that I am referencing, and A7 is the CV of our project engineer. So if the board doesn't have any questions about the exhibits, I will call our first witness.
Just give us a second to look at
Okay.
some of these things. We haven't seen some of this before.
Okay.
On A5, the perspective from the course drawing, and then to the right is the diagram. Can you help me with sort of the orientation in terms of that diagram as it relates to the perspective?
Oh, here? Yeah.
Shall I swear?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Raise your right hand.
Great.
You do solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. State your full name for the record, please.
David Fiorello. I'm a professional engineer with the firm of Momini Associates in Bryn Mawr. You can see, I guess we'll look at the aerial view to the left here, the existing clubhouse building. There is a driveway in between that serves the current golf cart area. This is where the members come out and pick up their carts. The area here where the building is shown is where the current golf cart parking area is. The perspective from the course is looking up towards, in this direction, towards the clubhouse and the building. The perspective from the drive is as someone is coming into the parking lot and coming through here and looking down, you can see the portion of the clubhouse facilities and the porch on the left and the new building to the right. The building will be lowered into the grade so that passerbys will be able to look over the top of the building. The floor plan, as it's shown here, the cart parking area is oriented so that the clubhouse is to the left. And I can go to the plan showing the layout, which shows that the intent is to have the building oriented this way, if we can look at the two, so that this ramp coming down, actually it will be a ramp leaving the building to bring the golf carts up to this areaway. That is this driveway here. There is a ramp that will return the carts back to the building down through here. It goes along the side of the practice green. That is the driveway coming down to this lower portion of the plan, and there's a side door that goes into the building in that respect. You're welcome.
Want to proceed?
Yes,
Your case?
okay. Bernie, if you want to come up?
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
And state your full name for the record, please.
Bernard Druding.
And can you please state for the board your occupation?
I'm a home builder.
And what is your association with the club?
I've been a golf member there for 25 years. I've served on the board a couple consecutive terms in the past. I'm currently a member of the Facilities Committee.
And we've already touched on this, but can you please describe the proposed project for which we're seeking the zoning relief?
Okay.
And with that, you can also describe the reason for why we need the building.
Okay. All right. When you drive up the driveway to the property, there's a parking lot here, which is to the right of the driveway, before the main clubhouse, which is over here. This is the golf porch and the golf shop where everyone starts their round and everyone finishes. There's a paved driveway in here which is exclusively for golf carts. This parking lot is for automobiles. This driveway is for golf carts, and this current parking lot is for golf carts. You start your round here, and you finish here. So this is the central starting and stopping point for golfers. As David has already described, the building is set down into the slope where the parking lot is, so that when you're on this porch, you can still look out over the top and see, the golf course beyond.
And the reason we need to actually have a building as opposed to continuing to store the carts outdoors?
Yes. We currently have a fleet of 60 propane gas-powered golf carts, and that's what we've had for a number of years. We are changing over to electric carts. The electric carts are much more quiet, and they're also more environmentally friendly, and it's the way to go, sort of a state-of-the-art thing. So that's the purpose. The difference, the propane gas carts, we can park them outside, and we do park them outside for the entire season. The electric carts need to have a shelter because of all the electric charging stations. So we have to build a building to provide for these carts.
And can you further describe the reason for the size of the building? And you can reference the floor plan that we
Yes.
Sorry, you have
looked
to
at.
speak into the mic.
I'm sorry.
Can you further describe the size of the proposed building, and you can reference the floor plan we've looked at previously?
Yes. If you can see the outline of the floor plan, you'd have to zoom in. There's indications there of 60 golf carts being parked in that building. The electric carts need to have, they're parked in tandems so that there are aisles on either side of the cart so that the staff can plug the vehicles into the charging stations. So the carts in this building are going to be parked a little bit farther apart than they are in the illustration. We could show you that photograph. Currently, when we park the carts on the parking lot, we pretty much jam them wall to wall, and we can't do that with the electric carts.
And you can also see that on A4. If you look at B, you can see the cars, they're basically parked side to side. So the building, as it's been designed, is the minimum size that you need in order for you to accommodate all of the existing carts, as well as, I guess, maintain them, take them out to the course, and provide the other facilities that you need along with that, correct?
Yes, we had Blackney Hayes, our architect, work with a golf cart consultant to make sure that we could do what we want to do in the building.
And were any other locations considered for this building?
Yes, we did look at a couple remote locations. Okay, this is Godfrey Road, and here's the main driveway into the club. There's a maintenance building right at the entrance, which is a brick building in the same architectural style as the clubhouse. And there's an employee parking lot here. We looked at that location, but it really doesn't make much sense from a logistical standpoint because we start the carts at the golf porch and we finish at the golf porch. If we put it down here, we'd be just shuttling these things back and forth up and down our driveway all day long. Another advantage to locating it here is we're putting it in a location that's currently macadam, and if we were to put it down here, we're not in a position to remove our employee parking spaces for cars, so we'd have to find a spot down here where we would be starting from scratch. Plus, we have a close neighbor right across the street, actually two close neighbors right across the street, so it didn't make any sense from that standpoint either, but the logistics are the main reason why we want to have it here.
And it's already shown on the perspective we review with the board, but can you describe the proposed architecture of the storage building?
Yes. Okay. All right, again, here is the golf parking lot for automobiles. This is the golf cart throughway here, so to speak. This is the roof of the proposed new building, and this is the golf porch. The main clubhouse is to the left. This rendering here would be from the golf course below, and as you can see, there are arches that kind of mimic the arches on the golf course, so we're trying to blend this into the architecture of the existing building. And the perspective here from the driveway, as you're walking towards the golf porch, shows a trellis and some landscaping that's pretty much separates the golf porch from the roof of the new building.
And when would the proposed building be constructed?
Our plan would be to have all our permits in place and start construction the day after the end of the golf season, which would be November 1st, and have the construction complete by April 1st of 2015.
And as required by the township, we had sent out notices to approximately 200 neighbors, notifying them of this application. Have you had any objections from neighbors with respect to this project?
No, we haven't gotten any inquiries.
And in your opinion, will there be any adverse impact to the public health, safety, or welfare as a result if this project is approved?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you. If the board has any questions.
Yes, will this be visible from any of the abutting properties?
Yes. This location, I believe, is 450 feet from Godfrey Road. Let's see now. There is a house on this property here, and I suspect that that house is probably another 400 feet from Godfrey Road. So I would say that, that this building would be visible from that house. I believe, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. There are a total of 3 houses here. This is Godfrey and Darby Paoli Road. There's one house here. I don't believe it would be visible from that one. There's another house on this large, Ardrossan lot, and then there is one, no, I'm sorry. There is one more on this lot here. So yeah, there are 2 houses over here across the street that could visibly see this, but this building is 450 feet from Godfrey Road, plus their setbacks are a couple hundred feet.
Is this building going to be open on the sides, or is it fully enclosed?
No, it's basically, because it's half buried, it's sort of like, almost like a subterranean basement bunker.
Because it looked in the rendering like you could see the sky through the side. It looks like they were all open.
Okay.
You see, when you look at that upper right-hand,
Yeah. Where I have my fingers, is that what we're looking at here? Or do you mean this?
That's not on the,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I see what you're doing.
Are you referring to this?
Yes, in that one there, it looks as though you can see through the blue sky. So it looked like it's an open side.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh, that's the clubhouse.
beyond.
Oh,
So
okay.
the dark circles in the middle with the arches,
So the roof is kind of the grade?
exactly.
Oh, I see.
The roof is similar to the grade where the golf porch is. And
Now, this perspective from the course, sir, that thing there, is that the side of the new building we're seeing with those arches?
Yes, that is
That's
correct.
the new building, okay.
Right.
I see. Because presumably the course is all around it, so I didn't know which perspective from the.
That is,
Okay.
that's
now-
correct.
Sorry, I'm so thick.
What's the structure that's there right now?
There is no structure,
No
there's
structure at
a
all.
paved
Just all
parking lot.
open.
It's a
Yeah.
lot,
Okay.
yeah, it's just a,
So the golf carts are visible from those properties?
Yes.
Also?
Yes.
Go ahead.
This photo will probably help. Flip it around. Okay, so this is a photo from the side showing the golf cart parking lot with the golf carts on it. And here is another perspective showing the golf porch and that cart throughway in front of the porch, some landscaping that separates that from where the carts are parked.
and notices went to the people along Godfrey Road of this application, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. As it should be. Does everybody understand what they're proposing? Okay, might as well proceed.
Okay, our next and last witness is Dave Fiorello. Can you please state your name and address for the board?
David Fiorello, Momini and Associates, 924 County Line Road in Bryn Mawr.
And what is your professional experience?
I am a 1972 graduate from the Villanova College of Engineering, and I've been practicing civil engineering since that time.
And are you familiar with the Overbrook Golf Club property?
Yes, I am.
And what plans have you prepared in connection with this project?
I have prepared the zoning exhibits that's in front of you now, and I have also prepared land development plans that were submitted to the township as part of a land development process.
Okay, and I know we've already gone through it, but if you can just quickly go through them again and describe any relevant aspects that we might not have covered, and also especially if you can describe the previously disturbed areas.
Well, I think the first sheet sort of gives you an orientation of where the clubhouse sits as part of the course, and as Bernie mentioned before, you can see Godfrey Road along the north, and we are 400-plus feet back behind Godfrey Road. We have a plan from our survey that was done showing the outline of the existing parking area. You can see that the parking area is flat. There's a ramp that sort of comes down when carts are parked, and then there's another ramp that brings them back. Described on this plan with this purple dash line was the limit of disturbance that was part of a 2004 grading permit application for the construction of this paved parking area. We have delineated in red in the area surrounding that areas of slopes in excess of 20%, and we have delineated in blue those slopes that are 14 to 20%. And what I have done within this area of disturbance, I've sort of highlighted those slopes, 20% and greater, that were within that original area of disturbance. And going back to the old plans, a lot of these slopes were created as part of the grading when this area was constructed. So outside the limit of disturbance, we still have some small areas of steep slopes that come up. The practice green behind the clubhouse has some slopes associated with that, and I think that is a result of grading when that green was created. We also have some steep slopes adjacent to the parking area that were most likely created when that parking area was constructed, but we don't have plans and information about when that was done, so we're looking at them as slopes that are controlled by your ordinance.
And what you have just explained in terms of other areas that are outside of the 2004 area that were created as a result of other improvements, that's consistent with what's stated in the Earth Engineering report, correct?
Yes, we had asked Earth Engineering to come out and to dig a couple sample holes in those areas, and they're defined on the plans with these stars with the circles. It shows the test pits that were dug. Their report shows that there's roughly 6 feet of what would be described as fill material that was obviously disturbed at one time, and there's not natural material, which supports our position that these slopes were man-made.
David, on the A2 chart, the
Yes.
dark purple, that would be the man-made section?
Yes, sir. That was within the area of disturbance from the 2004.
That must have been a
permit.
long time. It seems like there's some very mature trees there.
There are tree wells that are around there. Some of that work was graded at that time. There were some tree wells, and there was some, shall we say, fine-tuning. I think if you look at the plan, you can see that the area below it were areas of blue, so they're in the 14 to 20% range. So I think that some of the grading that was established in filling this area, certainly there were some tree wells constructed to protect those trees, but they were probably borderline, maybe on the 20 or 14 to 20% range at one time, and now they're a little bit steeper.
And again, you reviewed this plan with the zoning officer as well as the township engineer, correct?
Yes, I did.
And they have agreed that only those areas with, outside of the 2004 disturbance areas require a variance,
That's my
correct?
understanding, yes.
Okay, and then if you can just pinpoint for the board again, those, I believe there are 4 areas that amount to the 1,425 square feet?
Yes, on this third sheet here, again, what I've done is superimposed the new building footprint on there. I've also kept on this plan in the line in purple, the original limit of disturbance. We are showing what our grading would be. We have to bring in a access ramp to access the building. The original design for the building wanted this entrance garage door, if you will, for the lack of a better word, on the side, but that was forcing us to push the road or the ramp further closer towards the parking lot, disturbing more slopes, and it was creating a very steep embankment for that pathway. So the entrance was relocated to the other side so that we could pull that ramp away from those other steep slopes and still present a safe alternative to bring some vehicles in. We also have the ramp coming that will be currently I guess what we would call the north side of the building is used as a pathway into the parking lot, and the southern portion was the pathway out. For safety reasons and because of the slope, we're switching this around so that anybody bringing vehicles out of this north side is going up the steeper embankment instead of the possibility of coming down. So we do have some grading around the building to the right. Most of that grading, again, is in the area that was disturbed originally, within the 2004 area disturbance. There will be some filling along the bottom end of the building. Since the building is being lower, we're bringing the grade up there to hide some of the bottom part of that building. So we're grading in that area, and those grades for that embankment in front of the building, there's a little bit of grading for the driveway, the 2 driveways, and what I have defined in these dark red areas are those areas of steep slopes that are disturbed as a result of as a result of the work for this. And the disturbance works out to roughly 1,425 square feet.
Does the disturbance consist of removing vegetation? Does it also consist of regrading?
It does. It does regrading. The intent is to regrade back there, and then all that area will be revegetated up against the building, and it'll be landscaped.
How are we disturbing them? Are we making them steeper or flatter, or what are we doing?
We're making them steeper. They're, to minimize the disturbance further back, we're proposing a 3-to-1 slope of that area up against the building.
3 run to 1
Yes.
down?
Yes.
Okay.
Has the building been located to minimize the disturbance of steep slopes?
Yes, we've tried to keep the footprint in the area that was disturbed previously. Again, I think because Bernie testified the size of the building, we've located the building pretty much right up against the limit of where the existing area is, so we're pushing it close to the clubhouse as we can. There's just a small portion of the building itself that encroach beyond that original disturbance limit. Most of the grading is what is being disturbed, resulting in disturbance of the steep slopes.
And will the proposed improvements meet all other code requirements?
Is our intent, yes.
Excuse me, Dave, is the footprint of the new building the same or larger than the footprint of the current paved area?
The footprint of the building is larger. Again, I think because of, as Bernie testified, that the current stacking of the carts, excuse me, can go one right on top of the other because of the need to provide the aisleways. And again, I think one thing that Bernie may not have touched on is the fact that charging, to my understanding, charging takes about 8 hours for these vehicles. So it's not that you can just bring a vehicle in and then take the next one out. So you're bringing a vehicle in and that has to stay in the garage to charge, where currently with the gas carts, it really doesn't matter which one comes in and out. So we're providing a way to store the vehicles for charging, still maintain access to them, and then also being able to take them out in such a manner that everybody has a fully charged vehicle.
The
Okay.
fleet is not increasing in number, right? I think it's the same number.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
And is that's a yes? Because I counted
Yeah, I
63
think
just
Mr.
sitting here.
I think Mr.
And
Druding.
I believe you mentioned 60 earlier.
The 63 in the building, the goal was to get 60, and when the building laid out with the traffic patterns inside, we ended up with 3 extras. And I think with the electric carts, because of these issues of charging and sequencing, having those extra bays in there for servicing will be appropriate. But we have absolutely no plan to add more golf carts than we currently have.
Okay, and there appear to be a couple other uses that don't exist
Yes.
currently that you're including in the construction? Looks like a caddy shack and stuff.
In a bathroom, yes. Mhm.
No poker room? That's what caddies did when they weren't out on the course. That's what my sons did when they caddied.
And is the release itself minor or de minimis in the context of the overall Overbrook Golf Club property?
I think in the context of 130 acres, this disturbance is very minimal. I think when I worked in the calculator, it was 0.25% of the entitled, or 0.25% of the entire site.
And what is your professional opinion on whether there will be any adverse impacts on the public health, safety, and welfare?
I don't feel that there will be any.
That's all of my questions for Dave.
Anyone else have questions for the engineer? We're done with you.
Thank you.
Okay, and just a short closing. Again, we don't believe that we require any variance relief because all of the areas that we are disturbing are in fact man-made as a result of prior improvements to the club. But to the extent that we do need them, we think they're de minimis. It's a large property. We have designed the building to complement the existing clubhouse. There is existing landscaping, and there will be no doubt additional landscaping added as we go through the land development process that will, kind of buffer views of that new building. But the building has been designed to be, minimized while also meeting the club's needs. I mean, they're upgrading and they're doing something that's better for the environment, better for the club, but they do need a storage facility that can accommodate those carts.
Is that your case?
Yes.
Okay, and I
Move your exhibits into
move your
the record.
exhibit.
Yes.
Anyone here wish to comment or appear before or against this application?
Mr. Chairman,
There's only one of you. I know the car is not here for that. So you have anything to say, sir? No. Oh, okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I might add, down here, the Planning Commission reviewed this at their February 12th meeting as required for land developments, which is what this project would be subject to, and they did recommend approval or that the variances be granted for this.
I'm going to give a little preamble to our discussion, and that is, although this is in the zoning code, it's really a very technical area involving the engineers where they're concerned about erosion and sedimentation and slopes and runoff and all that. And so I think the attitude of this board has generally been of late that as long as the engineer gets a chance to review all this and approve it and condition it pursuant to the grading permit review process under a different section of the Township Code, we're not going to try to substitute our knowledge or our opinions for those who are better trained technically in this area than we are. So any approval we would give would, of course, not grant any relief, nor would we have the power to grant any relief under the grading ordinance, and you'd have to go through that process, as I'm sure you're well aware. I think we feel comfortable in relying upon the township engineer to protect the interests of the community with regard to those technical matters.
Mr. Chairman, if the board were to approve this, the decision would say that we're only giving relief from Section 112 of the zoning code, and no relief is granted with respect to any other zoning code section or the saldo or any other township ordinance.
But everybody understands that, so we're not going to get all technical on you for a couple of reasons, including the fact that we probably couldn't match your expertise, I'm sure. I'm not sure under our ordinance it makes any difference whether the steep slopes were man-made or were naturally created, unless they fall within that limit of Code Section 175.11a and b, dealing with certain things that were done to comply with certain requirements of the grading before. People seem to make a big deal out of whether they were man-made or not, but I'm not sure once they're created that it makes any difference under the zoning code except within that limited context. But in this case, I don't know that there's that much that would make a difference one way or the other. Anybody want to make a motion?
I move that the applicant be granted variance from Section 280-112 D&E to remove vegetation, regrade man-made steep slopes, construct a golf cart, storage building, and access drives at the locations indicated on Exhibit A3.
The only thing I would ask that we add is, it says regrade, but also, I guess, revegetate or whatever we want to call it, to properly protect the slope.
And that would be fine, isn't it?
Is the motion seconded?
Second.
Okay, then as a matter of discussion, you talked about the bill of man-made slopes. I think we're going to give the relief or not give it for all the affected areas as shown on A3, whether man-made or not. Some of them may be, some may not be, but if we give the relief, it's within those defined physical boundaries and totally subject to the township engineer's review and approval under the grading ordinance, and it's relief as to nothing else under this or any other provision of the township code.
So we would strike the phrase man-made.
Man-made.
That's
And does
fine.
everyone agree on the motion as rephrased? Okay. But all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? You have your relief. there any other business before the board? I'm not aware of any. Then we stand adjourned until next month.